You can make a difference. You can give hope to a child. You can change a life. And that is no small change.
Welcome to another episode of One-on-One. My name is David Staal.
And I'm Chris Reinsma. And today, Dave, we get to talk about a pretty exciting topic, behavior.
Well, Chris, where did we learn about behavior?
Well, you know, interestingly enough, last year we did something called Project Focus. It was called Following Our Churches to Understand Success. And one of the things that we found in relationships between mentors and students was that behavior was the number one thing that predicted lower relationship quality from the mentor's standpoint and from the mentee's standpoint. So behavior is a big deal in terms of making sure that both mentors and students are satisfied with their relationship.
You know, that makes sense to me. And so what we did was we asked several programs to share with us what are some of those behavior challenges you face during the mentoring hour. And Chris, that's what we're going to go through together here today, is the responses that we received from actual mentors. And what we'll do is we'll give some suggestions and tips as far as, okay, what do you do in that situation?
That's great.
So Chris, here's the first one. What about resistance to doing the work? Probably caused by just having left a full morning of classroom work and valuing downtime more than doing work time.
Yeah. You know, that's a really common one, I think, in a lot of relationships, and I think it's to be expected to some degree because for a lot of these kids, they're packing in a lot of academics all morning, and the morning time sometimes is the time when is the most concentrated for them. So if you're meeting that student a little bit later in the day, I think this is to be expected to some degree, that there may be some resistance to wanting to do more work right away. So what I would say would be focus on just reconnecting with your student, on having a little fun with them, and kind of breaking that cycle of concentration, because they probably do need a little bit of a break. And you know what, if later in the hour you can get back to some academics, fantastic. But there may be some days where you just frankly don't get to do that, and that's okay, because really the relationship is about fun and relationship building as well as the academics. And so if you're only doing 2 out of the 3 on some of the times you're mentoring, that's perfectly okay. Dave, the next challenge that was highlighted was yawning and disinterest, probably caused by lack of sleep and maybe some nutrition issues. What do we do about that? Dave?
Uh-oh.
Are you okay, buddy? Hang with me here.
You just say the word and you're probably doing it too.
Okay.
But, you know, again, reality check. Probably is a lack of sleep and lack of nutrition going on in a lot of our kids' lives. So what do you do on that? Well, I'm going to give a couple of suggestions based on what I did. You know, I've had it before where I've brought in some animal crackers,
Right.
or some fruit snacks or whatever,
Right.
just to help, you know, my little guy get through the time because his stomach is rumbling and all that. And as far as the yawning goes, what I've heard works really well, because I've never really faced that, but what I've heard works really well is to pace the hour so that you don't start off with this heavy engagement, heavy concentration stuff. Start off lighter and make sure you get some laughter going and some smiles going, because nothing fights fatigue better than smiles and joy, having a good time. So if you use that formula of smiles and joy and laughter will battle the fatigue part, I think you can go a long ways.
One other thing, Dave, I've heard that mentors have done is that they've actually done a little bit of exercise at the beginning of the hour. So they've gotten up, they've walked around the school, maybe it's out to the playground if that's something you can do at your school, but that exercise really kind of helps wake the kids up as well, just kind of gets the brain back functioning again.
That's a great idea. Okay, Chris, our next one. What about the inability to focus or always being distracted?
You know, that's one where I think we have to look at this as kind of a skill building opportunity, because all kids, and it doesn't matter, my kids and your kids, we all have to learn how to pay attention and to focus. And a lot of our kids, frankly, haven't had as many opportunities to learn how to do that. And so what we're doing, I think, in the mentoring is we're sort of helping them to build this skill of learning to pay attention. And so we can do things like have really high interest reading content for them that's available that just pulls them in right away. We can play games with them. We can put things in short pieces, like only having to pay attention for a period of time and then maybe getting a small reward for that. Things like that will help build this attentional skill over time, but we can't expect it to just develop, you know, and saying pay attention, instead of saying pay attention, let's teach them how to do it. And we're going to teach them how to do it through building the skill, the high interest reading, breaking things down into smaller parts, giving them some rewards. Things like that are really going to be helpful in helping your kid learn how to do this.
And you know, I've heard another tip was have the child explain something to you.
Oh, to be the teacher themselves.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that allows them the opportunity to really focus on what they're saying, and because they're explaining it to you rather than just sitting and absorbing
A
stuff.
great thought. Great thought. Dave, what about kids who are coming into the mentoring session who are pretty apathetic and just feel kind of hopeless about their abilities to do things at school?
Well, you know, there's a little bit of that probably in every child that we mentor, or they wouldn't be part of our program. So just want to say that's fairly normal. Probably the best thing to do is to be able to look at your child and see a strength and build from there. And what you do is maybe early on in your relationship, you just find a strength, find an area that he or she loves, enjoys, or you know likes even a little.
Yeah.
Build from there.
Yes.
Because then what happens is a child sees that you're paying attention to him or her. The child sees that you really care about him or her, and all of a sudden that apathy will turn into anticipation because Mr. Chris is coming and he really knows me and understands me. And you know what? That will eliminate hopelessness too, because what will happen is they will anticipate the time that's coming with joyful thoughts, and will know that Mr. Chris is waiting for me, because the mentoring hour isn't something that I need to endure, but it really is all about me as a child.
Yeah, and the thing that I love about what you said, Dave, was finding that strength. A lot of these kids may not know their strengths, and so the fact that you're able to sort of pick one out and begin to build on it may be something really new for them, which is great.
All right, Chris, here's one that says, what about a child who's reticent to share problems from the class?
Reticent to share problems. Well, first I have to figure out what reticent means, and so I looked it up, but not willing to share problems from the class. You know, this is, again, another common one, and I think a lot of this goes back to the trust that you've built with the mentor, and possibly this is because you're early in the relationship, and maybe, you know, they're just kind of still building trust with you. So I think it's okay for them not to want to share some of that stuff. Another reason may be because they can't really articulate what are some of the things that are really happening in class. Like they can't really talk about it very well. So it may not be that they're really avoiding it, it just may be that they can't talk about it. If they are avoiding it, telling you about problems in the classroom, I think that's okay as well, because I think it needs to go at the mentee's pace. And I think that you know, as that relationship develops, you can be confident that you're going to get more information from your child. But don't push them, because this may be very new and different for them. So just take it at their pace. When they're ready, they're going to begin to share things. You can help yourself a little bit by asking some open-ended questions about what happens in class, maybe gathering some information from your director about what's happening in class. And you can try and approach these topics, but again, the student is the one that's setting the pace in the relationship.
Yeah, Chris, I had a little guy I mentored that before he would share any issue or problem in the classroom, he always prefaced it with, promise not to tell my dad. So we just need to make sure that you're a safe person in your child's life, and that you're not telling their mom or dad.
Someone who puts gum under the table.
What's the problem? Is that bad?
Is that bad? Okay. Dave, what about the student who takes offense easily?
Oh, sure. I think with a student who takes offense easily, and you're probably, a mentor is probably going to be worried about, what do I say? Did I say the wrong things or whatever? Because this child has, you know, a lot of life history, and I'm touching on nerves or whatever. Know that that's probably going to happen, and it's okay when it does. I think the best thing to do is just talk about things. You know, if a child appears to have taken offense, you know, you can stop and just say, you know, you look like that bothered you. What did I say that bothered you? And you stop.
Just address it right there.
Yeah, you stop and address it, and you can diffuse it, because if you don't, that will be a lingering memory, and that pattern will continue. But if you talk about it, you can deal with it right away.
Dave, a real common thing we see with a lot of students is the emotion of anger. And how do you deal with a child who's coming into the mentoring hour with a lot of anger?
Well, Chris, as you know, anger is sort of a secondary reaction to something that's going on. When a child is showing signs of angriness, I think what you do is you go right at it and you start to probe as far as, okay, what's going on? You know, what's happening that's causing this anger? But you know, you can't look a child in the eye and say, what's causing your anger? That's not going to work.
Right.
What you need to do is you need to just start having some dialogue and find out through some probing questions as far as, okay, what's the most difficult thing you've faced?
Sure. What's
in
the
last
fear?
couple of days? Yeah. What are you afraid of these days? And maybe offer, an answer for yourself first to show that this isn't an inquisition or an interrogation, but it's a discussion. But knowing that anger is a secondary reaction to something else that's going on is important. So probe to see what the source of that emotional reaction is. So we've come to that point in time in our broadcast that we select a winner.
We select a winner. And I'm going to spin the tumbler here, and I'm going to select one program, and the number on that program will correspond to the winner of today's prize. And Dave, what do they win if their number is drawn?
As all the previous winners will tell you, you win a fantastic $100 gift certificate to anything you want on the Kids Hope USA online store, which is easily accessed on our website. It's the Cahusa online store. So you get a $100 gift certificate if you are the program that Chris just pulled out of the cage there.
And Dave, our winner this week is Hopewell Reformed Church in Hopewell Junction, New York. They're doing a fantastic job out there. They've been going for a couple years, and I happen to be at training with Karen and Nancy, and so they are this week's winners for the prize.
So Karen and Nancy, if you're watching, contact our national office by calling us before 5 p.m. on October the 12th, and you'll be able to get your $100 gift certificate. If you know Karen or Nancy, give them a call, send them an email, tell them, make sure you look at the broadcast so that you can call by 5 p.m. on October the 12th.
Dave, today we had a chance to talk about behavior. And behavior, really, from our research, is one of the key factors in the satisfaction of relationships for mentors and for students. In general, as we looked at those behaviors, what's one thing that stuck out to you?
Well, I think it's the fact that these were behavior challenges that we discussed, not behavior problems, okay? Because the kids that we reach, that you reach with us, all have a very challenging life, and they bring some of those challenges with them into the mentoring hour. They are not problems, they're challenges. And look at them as challenges that together you can overcome, because when you do that, you'll change a life. And Chris, we both know, when you change your life,
it's no small change.
Chris, have you taken a look at some of these items that we received?
Were these some of the challenging behaviors?
Yeah, right off of Facebook.
Okay.
We did it to the
I don't know if I have the same list as you. Mine says, Chris and Dave aren't funny. Do you see that in your list?
I don't have. Oh, I have this one. It says, "Your outtakes are a waste of time. Please stop wasting our time."
And this one says, "Dave looks old."
That's from my wife. I can't believe that.
I know, there it is, Becky. She even drew a picture.
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
Well, it does kind of look like me, doesn't it? Oh well.
Okay, well, let's use some of them and not the others.
Yeah, okay.